Welcome to the Unpacking It Live podcast presented by Medi-Share. I'm Bryce Johnson. For the next hour or so, we will unpack sports, faith, and life with you and the Unpacking It community of sports fans. It's Thanksgiving week. So glad to be here on this Monday as we prepare for one of the great holidays, the food, the football, the family, but most importantly, it is the heart of gratitude, the Thanksgiving mindset. And so today we will talk about that as we prepare for the week. And of course, this year I always think about, all right, I want to talk about Thanksgiving and the idea of gratitude and appreciation. And then I'm always reminded, wait, why do I only focus so much on it this time of year where it really should be a lifestyle? It's that day-to-day gratitude for so much. And specifically today, we're going to talk about our faith journey. And actually, we're going to parallel it to a backup quarterback in the NFL becoming a starter. And so how does all that tie in? We'll do that during our Unpack This segment in just a little bit. And so we always take sports stories related to the Bible, related to our own lives. But I come in today with a heart of gratitude as I've thought about it. And I love this time of year. What a glorious time of year. We Christmas is right around the corner, but I like to get to and through Thanksgiving first. Admittedly, I did get the Christmas tree from the attic. It's not up, no ornaments yet, but it is down and ready to go. So it's, Christmas it's coming. I can't wait. I love Christmas time, but Thanksgiving is here. And the games on Thursday, we're ready to go for those too. How about Detroit winning yesterday? They've now won 3 straight. How good is that? That's fun. And then Luke's Dallas Cowboys, we'll hear from Luke in a minute. They dominate the Vikings. We all love the Vikings. We thought the Vikings were one of the teams to beat in the NFC. Some question marks coming from them after yesterday. And then looking at the NFL standings, how about the AFC East, the NFC East? Which division is better? All 8 teams in each division, they've got winning records at this point in the season. How crazy is that? And then to think, too, that the Lions are ahead of the Packers in the standings in the NFC North. So that's pretty wild as well. But today on the show, we'll do a little tap drill. We're going to do a unique, I'm convinced today, Thanksgiving edition. And so Luke's going to bring up some interesting Thanksgiving topics today as well. And we'll get into some college football coming up on Saturday. We get all the great rivalry games, which I can't wait for. And then, of course, plenty of storylines to unpack from yesterday's day in the NFL. We are brought to you by Medi-Share and encourage you to check out medishare.com/unpackingit. Medi-Share is a biblical, affordable alternative to health insurance. They help members save up to 50% or more per month on their healthcare costs. It's the best alternative to health insurance. They've got a proven record for almost 30 years. My family, we've been members for a long time now, and encourage you to take really just 2 minutes, see how much money you can save, go investigate for yourself, medishare.com/unpackingit. We are also brought to you by Sugar Creek Coffee. And so we're so excited about Sugar Creek. They're a new sponsor, and the coffee is delicious. Their mantra, they've got a passion for coffee, but a love for people. And it's handcrafted, small batch, artisan roasted, and they specialize in really this specialized handcrafted coffee. It's made just outside of Charlotte, and so it's really fresh. You can order online, sugarcreekcoffee.com, and they'll deliver it to you. It'll come delicious, ready to roll. So enjoy. Use the promo code UNPACK. Save a little bit of money. Also support the ministry. So sugarcreekcoffee.com. All right, Luke, we got a lot to get to today on this Thanksgiving week, coming off a big weekend in the NFL. I was all excited yesterday because I had 3 TVs rolling at the 1 o'clock games. I had the Colts on one TV, the Panthers on one TV, the Red Zone in the middle. And my Colts let me down. My Panthers let me down. But then at 4 o'clock, Vikings Cowboys. Oh, wow. The national game. This is going to be a great game. Great battle. 2 top teams in the NFC. Dallas coming off kind of a weird loss to Green Bay last week. And sure enough, your Cowboys dominated the Vikings. Wow. So you got to be feeling good today.
Feeling good. So it's hard. I probably hold a unpopular sports fandom opinion. Yes, I love when my team wins, but I don't like a blowout because
I'm with you on
it's
that.
harder to stay engaged. That was the largest margin of victory this season because the Bills beat Pittsburgh 38-3 early in the season, which was huge. But that Steelers were not good. Bills are great. This game, Vikings are really good. I mean, fighting for the number 1 seed in the NFC, and they lose 40-3. But it's hard because midway through the third quarter, I'm like, gosh, like, yeah, I want to watch, but I also don't want to. Like, I'm ready to turn it off. I just hate that feeling.
Once you know I know.
Because even when I played basketball in high school, freshman A team, we had a good squad. However, when we're up 30, I would never throw in the towel. I would always play with 100% effort. But I would hope that the other team would make a run and make it close.
That's right.
I loved when it was a close game. So I root for close games in my team winning close games.
And for the most part, that's what we get. We got plenty of that yesterday in the NFL, as we do every week. And in some games, really did come down to the wire. And even the Panthers were in that game against Baltimore. It was a low-scoring game, but the Ravens are tough. That defense is really, really impressive. And then, of course, Lamar Jackson knows how to make plays when he needs to. And actually, their defense made some major plays as well. But also, we got to talk about last night's game, which was fantastic. Chiefs and the Chargers, and I like the Chargers a lot. I want them to be good, but they're just this classic team that doesn't know how to win. Like, they just consistently don't know how to win and get the big wins, and the Chiefs do. The Chiefs, and I saw something earlier, Patrick Mahomes, he just makes it look so easy, and it's so cliche to hear that, but he plays with such an ease out there.
Mm-hmm.
And it helps when, which I think we can all maybe agree on this now. I guess there's still some debate, but for the most part, Travis Kelce is the greatest tight end ever. It's not hyperbole. It's not caught in the moment. He is unstoppable week in, week out, season after season. And he's rarely injured. He rarely has a stinker of a game. He is always in the mix. And almost every time he touches the ball, it's like a threat to be a touchdown.
Yeah.
And so it's absolutely remarkable. And so if you want to argue Tony Gonzalez, maybe he's awesome, but still the machine that is Travis Kelce, it's remarkable. So that's my big takeaway from last night as well.
He's like what we were saying about Cooper Kupp. It's just every game. It's every game. But other big time playmakers, they have off weeks, and it feels like Travis Kelce. Again, it's no matter, like, everyone knows they're getting the ball to Kelce. You lose Tyreek Hill. All right, this year it's all about Kelce. Well, it doesn't matter. He's still going to do it. To have 3 touchdowns, I mean, it's amazing.
It really
and you're selling yourself short. You don't just like the Chargers. You love the Chargers. You love them.
I want to love them. I want to love them.
It's unfortunate because they're so talented. We love Herbert, Eckler. Like, there's lovable guys. Keenan Allen, Bosa. Like, there's so many good players.
Mac.
Yes,
Big names.
but you said this maybe a month or two ago. Are you still under the impression they got to move on from their coach? It's from a coaching standpoint, that's what's holding them back.
It's, you know what? It's more of a franchise thing at this point, because the Chargers, they just, even when they were winning a ton of games, the Phillip Rivers years.
Yeah, with LaDainian Tomlinson. What was their tight end? Who was their tight end?
Antonio Gates.
Yeah, Antonio Gates. Yeah.
One of the best ever, for sure. Mm-hmm. He's in that conversation as well. And then they had another, Vincent Jackson was a good receiver. But
yeah.
They had the talent, and they just have never been able to get over the hump. And it's a fascinating thing. They've tried different coaches, and now they've got a different quarterback who's as good as Phillip Rivers, and maybe even projects to be better than Phillip Rivers down the line. And so maybe they'll eventually turn the corner, but I don't know if it's going to take the right coach or what. But there's just something about the LA Chargers, the San Diego Chargers, that they're missing something. It's very weird.
But their biggest win every year is having the best jerseys. Which, hey, that's not something you can hang your hat on that. But you
That's
want
pretty
that
good.
to follow with wins. Their color scheme, oh, it's so good. Great
You're
jerseys.
a jersey guy. You're
I
a
am a
jersey
jersey
guy.
guy. I'm
That's
wearing the
okay.
jersey. Go USA, baby. Come on. USA playing Wales right now. Wearing my Chelsea Christian Pulisic jersey. We're feeling good.
So you don't have a Team USA shirt? Where's your Team
So
USA
I'm
shirt?
on the fence of pulling the trigger on one. They are significant coin. It would be a substantial donation to the American economy, but it may be worth it. It may be
Man,
worth it.
so the World Cup is now underway. Is that right? So I'm admittedly not a soccer guy. So I loved playing soccer. I don't dislike the sport, but I'm just not into it. I don't follow it, but I will do my best to follow the World Cup, watch it as I'm available. If there is no football on, no basketball on, there's no movie I want to watch, no TV I want to
Oh,
watch.
even movies are getting promoted over it.
I mean, if that's the case, then I'll find some time,
Yeah,
but
Masked
other than
Singer's
that,
on, no question. No
that's right. Yeah.
question.
It's like I think it's a double feature this week with the Masked Singer. So a 2-night special. So there's no time for soccer then. But just for our general audience, we'll talk a little World Cup in a little bit, and we'll ask a couple questions to Luke just so that we're prepared. I don't like to be. I'm not fake soccer guy where I'm going to pretend like I'm all in on the World Cup and I've been following it, these last 4 years building up to it, like some of our friends and maybe even listeners will do, which is fine. If you want to do that, that's fine. You can pretend like you're all in,
But
but
we know the truth.
we know the truth. So that's where I'm at. But of course, it'd be awesome to see USA make a run. It'd be fun to see some big wins and make it interesting. And it's cool to see the country rally around a team, right?
Yep.
This gives us that opportunity. Rarely do we see this. Sometimes maybe with the dream team and that kind of thing in basketball, but for the most part, to find a team sport that the whole country can get behind is rare. And it's hard to anything to get behind. Commonality these days. So I'm all for that, and I can get into that as a sports fan. So we'll tease that a little bit. We'll hear from Luke in a little bit. I do want to mention anybody listening live right now, you can always jump in on the chat. We love hearing from you. Sometimes we'll read it during the show. Sometimes it'll be after the show, but we love your feedback, participation, answer to some of the questions throughout the show. It adds a lot of value to us. So thank you so much for those that listen on YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn. Those of you that listen later on the podcast, we're so grateful for you as well, and appreciate the emails and texts and comments wherever you engage with us. So thank you for that. The other interesting game from yesterday is the fact that the Browns and the Bills played in Detroit. And there was a moment during the Red Zone channel where they were showing the Detroit and Giants game while also double boxing the Cleveland Buffalo game in Detroit. And so somebody on Twitter commented, and then Red Zone acknowledged it during the broadcast, that was very confusing for Lions fans. That was a bizarre situation. And you sent me something funny today with a Bills fan, his baby, like a young baby, a video of a young baby,
newborn,
old,
newborn,
doing the fall on the table.
It was like a christening. It was hilarious. It was because if you haven't seen the videos, Bills fans have somehow become known for jumping off of cars, sometimes low buildings, onto fold-out tables and destroying them.
They're nuts.
That's their thing, which is bonkers, but it's Bills Mafia. It's what Bills fans do. So I guess it's becoming a thing where you have a newborn, you christen them. There was this miniature fold-out table, and he laid his baby down on the table, and it was probably pre-broken, but it was hilarious. To be fair, it was significant contact. He didn't let him down easy. There was some contact there. But it was hilarious because 30, 40, 50 Bills fans were around him going crazy. So Bills fans are in a league of their own.
And so that's the question today, because even thinking about how they sold like 50,000 plus seats in Detroit for Buffalo fans, the idea that Buffalo fans were helping the players get out of the snow, they're going to their house in the neighborhood, clearing the way. Everybody else is trapped at home, 6 feet of snow. Let's make sure the players can get to a plane, get out of here, head to Detroit. So the fan base is loyal. They're awesome. They're diehards. They've never, experienced. They've experienced plenty of success, but they've also experienced a lot of heartache for a number of years. But the question that comes to mind is, what fan base are you either jealous of, or that you just wish you were a part of, but you can't? Because I don't know if you can just jump on the Bills bandwagon. Like, that's not the same as growing up and really being a true Bills fan, and really whatever fan you are. You make that decision by the age of 10, and then you're locked in. But for me, I didn't grow up. I spent a few years in Rochester, New York, and I had the opportunity to be a Bills fan. But I passed on that opportunity because when I moved to Carolina and Charlotte, and I'm a Panthers fan. So that's the sad road I've been on ever since. Now, we've had some good years. But anyway, I'm just curious.
You've been to a Super Bowl. In my lifetime, I haven't seen a Super Bowl appearance. 2 Super Bowl appearances.
Two.
Yep.
So we'll take the 2 losses. But anyway, what fan base do you wish you were a part of, or maybe that fan base that just has the coolest culture? In some ways, the Bills culture is crazy. It's insane. I'm not even sure if I want to be a part of that, but it at least makes you think about and wonder, even as if you're a college sports fan, is there a fan base that you wish, I went to another school, but man, that other school, they got such a great culture and fan base that you're intrigued by. So does any team, pro, college, jump out to you?
So I applied to Kansas for college purely out of the desire to go to basketball games. And I had to look myself in the mirror and say, is this the reason to go to college? Just for basketball games? And I opted away from it, and I went to A&M. I think the way I see this question is almost a philosophy rather than a specific team. My heart, I just love small market teams that have diehard fan bases, because when they have success, it's so rewarding. Even in like big leagues. So like, I've heard that Portland Trailblazers, their fans are amazing because they're not a 4 professional team city.
Yep.
It's just Portland fans. Now they have an MLS team, but if you're growing up in that city, you are diehard Portland, diehard Trailblazers. I think of San Antonio Spurs fans, the Spurs fans that I know are diehard because that's their team. Dallas, it's like, you got a bunch of teams. It's big market. So now I'm going to be a Dallas fan forever, but there's something about those small market teams where if you're bought in for the long haul, it offers the potential for extremely rewarding sports fandom. Like, I would never want to be a Lakers fan. Never. I would never want to be a Knicks fan. I would never want to be a Patriots fan. I don't know. These big markets, they don't offer as much reward. Deep down.
Yeah, it's a championship or bust. Yeah. No, I hear you on that. If the Charlotte Hornets ever win anything, that'll be fun. We'll come out of the woodwork a little bit. So
which is why Mavs 2011 is so rewarding, because the Mavericks feel like a small market team. There's a nickname they have here, the Little Mavericks. A lot of people just call them the Little Mavericks because, they're in Dallas, big market, but they feel small market because they've had limited like championship success. So being able to win that and raise that banner in 2011, it felt like a small market team winning. So it just was so meaningful.
As you've told us, I think week after week for the last 3 years.
If you're allowed to drop a Jake Delhomme shout out, I'm allowed to drop a Mavs 2011 shout out. I wonder what the counter is overall. I feel like Jake Delhomme's been talked about more.
You're pushing it lately. I think you've passed me on that one a little bit, but no, that's a good example. So anyway, just thought about that with Bills fans, and I'm not sure if there's early in the season there were a lot of people jumping on the bandwagon, not necessarily diehard Bills fans, but a lot of people are like, this is Bills year, we're feeling good. Where are those fans at now? Do people still feel confident in the Bills? Of course, last week, losing to to Minnesota, but then bouncing back against the lowly Browns, and that's a whole nother story. I mean, the Browns situation is just it's weird. Like, because now they're gonna have to give up a top 10 pick, most likely, to Houston. So Houston's the worst team. They're gonna have the number 1 pick. And then they're also gonna have another top 10 pick from Cleveland.
Yeah.
So that's crazy too.
Well, now Detroit is going to have a super high pick because the Rams are so bad.
That's right.
Detroit's going to have a top 5 pick.
Because the Goff trade.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Wow.
Yeah.
Now, speaking of the Rams, so they lose again yesterday. Stafford goes down. The Saints somehow came back in that game and all of a sudden looked good in the second half and started rolling a little bit with Andy Dalton. But I started thinking about when a team goes all in, you win the Super Bowl, and it is worth it. Like, you want to win a Super Bowl, and even if you stink for the next few years, it's like, hey, we got a Super Bowl. And I think most fans accept that and understand that. But there is something to be said about losing the Super Bowl luster. And it was almost like the Rams didn't even get to milk it long enough to where we're already talking about how bad the Rams are. Like, you want to at least extend you extend it a little bit longer, because like even the Bucks a couple years ago, like they extended it. They were in competitive the following year
because there's something
in the mix.
I still think it's worth it to get a Super Bowl because it's so difficult. However, to your point, there is something about being able to say the following season, defending champs. Yeah. Can they defend their title? Like this year for Kansas basketball, a lot of different players. However, they're a good team, and it's realistic that they're going to be defending their title. I'm not saying they're going to repeat. They're probably not going to, but they're in the mix. So it really feels like this is the defending champion, and you have to remove them from that. They're not just going to give it to you. The Rams have handed it over. They're like,
yeah,
they didn't even make it half the season to be able to we're defending our title. Like, no, we won it last year, but our time's over. I agree with you. It doesn't. There's the beauty of winning a championship is being able to milk it, like you said, and enjoy being the defending champions. Like they're defending champions, but it doesn't feel like it as much. There's no intimidation. No. It's a bad season.
Because there's one thing about the Super Bowl hangover. You get off to a slow start, but people are waiting for you to kind of turn it around. The Rams aren't turning around. It's over. So it's like the season is over and it's unraveling. It gets worse and worse. And it's just crazy that that's the case. And they will be a very forgettable Super Bowl champion.
Isn't that wild? Because
I just think they will be.
But so I don't disagree with you, but it's kind of shocking to flash back to after they won. They're bringing back Aaron Donald, Stafford, Cooper Kupp, Jalen Ramsey, big names.
Yeah.
And you would want as a sports fan, you would want to see, okay, can they run it back? Is there any dynasty potential? Is there any longevity potential? So even if you're a Rams hater, you want to see the defending champs defend their crown and be a tough out. So I don't know. I mean, I'm still young into the sports fan life compared to a lot of people who have been following their team for decades and decades. I'm not sure I've seen in my lifetime a champion perform this poorly the year after. I mean, I tried to look it up. Like, yeah, there's been some teams that missed the playoffs. I think the Broncos missed the playoffs the next year after 2015. I think they
Manning left.
But that was different because you lose your quarterback, you lose a lot of players. The Rams brought a lot of players back. Big names. Total letdown.
Yeah. No, they lost. The offensive line lost a lot. So that's a big key to it.
But the conversation is, losing Whitworth was a huge loss. Your team's unraveling because you lost your 40-year-old left tackle. Oh, that's not true. An excuse. Not an excuse.
That's fair. That's a good point. That is a good point. Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, a lot of teams struggling in LA, but USC in the mix. So USC college football playoff, at least in the mix. Now they're hanging on to that at this point. Even the Chargers, I mean, I guess they're still alive, but the AFC is so tough, so deep. It's gonna be tricky. It really is.
How about this? Potentially one team from that division making the playoffs. When before the season, we're thinking, 3 or 4. Can they do 4? Probably 3. But Crazy.
It
Oh,
really is.
USA just scored.
Congratulations. All right, we'll get a little World Cup soccer talk in just a little bit, but I do want to jump into this week's Unpack This topic, where we take a sports story related to the Bible, related to our own lives. And you know who we got to talk about? The Washington Commanders. How about Taylor Heineke?
Yeah.
4-1 since filling in for Carson Wentz. And this has been a weird season for them. And even to me, even going back to the fact that they traded for Carson Wentz was bizarre to me.
Mm-hmm.
But Taylor Heineke has filled in nicely. But I want to actually unpack his story. And I think it parallels an important encouragement for us today.
I'll say quickly, the year of the backup, Dak goes down, Cooper Rush, 4-1. Wentz goes down, Heineke, 4-1.
Russell
Pretty
Wilson,
spectacular.
Geno Smith comes in.
Geno Smith.
Yeah.
Wild.
Carolina, you have 5 different quarterbacks. None of them are good. None of them are good. It's no good. It's a disaster. Disaster in Carolina. I'm done with Baker Mayfield. I wanted to see him out there. I'm glad I saw him out there. I saw it, and I don't want to do that again. So I'm out. But Taylor Heineke, he could be the Panthers quarterback. They let him get away. But here's what's so cool about his story and why I want to talk about him today. So, undrafted 2015, plays college football, Old Dominion. Vikings gave him his first shot, but he was released after 2 seasons. He was just a backup there. Then he signed with the Patriots practice squad, but he was cut shortly after that. Then he finally makes his NFL debut Christmas 2017 with the Texans. He completes 1 pass, gets a concussion, was waived by the team a few months later. Then the Panthers claimed him off waivers, and he appeared in 6 games in 2018. He was named the starter in week 16 after Cam Newton was injured. Then Heineke suffered an elbow injury and ended the season. Or, there's only 2 games left. But and then he re-signed with the Panthers in 2019, but he didn't make the final roster right before the season. All right, so then he goes to the XFL, but he never played in the XFL. Oh. In 2020, he finally makes it to Washington, signs to the practice squad, and then remember, there were a couple injuries to their other quarterbacks. He ends up starting the wild card game against the Bucs.
And it was a game.
Well.
Yeah.
Played pretty well. Made it interesting. The Bucs had to get through them and him in order to go win that Super Bowl.
Yeah.
So then in 2021, they brought him back to be the backup to Ryan Fitzpatrick. Then Fitzpatrick got injured. Heineke was the starter, but he was still just a fill-in for Ryan Fitzpatrick. And they decided, all right, he's not our, Heineke's not our guy. We're going to go trade for Carson Wentz. Carson Wentz comes in. He gets injured. Heineke fills in for him again, goes 4-1. And now where do we stand? Heineke has been named the starter. He will remain the starter even when Carson Wentz is back healthy. Yep. And so what a cool journey. I mean, think about that crazy journey. The cuts, the releases, the injuries, all of that, this wild journey to now. They beat Houston yesterday. Ron Rivera, hey, he's going to remain the starter. And, just 2 years ago, he was Taylor Heineke was sleeping on his sister's couch. And now he's secured the starting job with the Commanders.
Well deserved. So, what more do you have to do? What more do you have to do? He is a guy who's so easy to root for. Yes. Even for NFC, Cowboys fan, this is a division rival. I love seeing Heineke have success. He is such a football player. And now that I didn't know much of that. I didn't know the XFL thing. Now knowing what he's persevered through, trying to chase these opportunities and to finally get them and to make the most of them. Yeah, it's definitely something really to root for.
And so what I want to hone in on, though, is where he's at right now. Because here he is, he's the starter. And if you listen to him talk, or I saw him yesterday after the game, and this is kind of my takeaway, what I'm pulling from it, is that he understands how much this means to be a starter. He knows what it's like to be on the outside looking in. And what it's like to have so much uncertainty. And so there's no question that he is thankful for the opportunity to be a starter. And that he's now established himself as an NFL starting quarterback, at least for now. That's where he's at. And so, even yesterday he was getting emotional. And then of course the announcer, the reporter, "Oh, you're getting a little emotional, aren't you?" So she had to dig at it a little bit, which is, it's like, all right, it's fine. It's fine, but it's also annoying. It's tough.
I don't
But
as a side note, I don't think I could sell my soul to be a reporter like that, to ask those
that's hard.
questions. You know they're
That's
in their
hard.
ear. Oh,
You seem a little
come on.
emotional. You're getting a little emotional here. But I actually, but for today's purposes and in general, I appreciate that, because you know what the emotions represented? It represents gratitude. It represents humility. He knows what he's been through,
Yeah.
and he knows that now here he is to be named a starter. He's not taking that for granted. He's not like, what we see with a lot of these players. They're arrogant, they're expectant, they're entitled, a lot of those things. They bubble up. So when we see a player like this who's humble and embraces it, from that perspective of gratitude, I think is really cool. And
Mhm.
so, how does this parallel our own lives? Well, for those of us that are followers of Jesus, and we think about the paths that led to Christ, many of us can look back and remember, what it was like to be searching and hoping to find something secure. And we know what it's like to be on the outside looking in, where we were the journeyman going from one team to the next, thinking that the next team would be what we were looking for, until we got cut. And then we're left wandering again. And hopefully, as we think back to what that journey was like before knowing and encountering Jesus, and thinking back to that empty life, hopefully that's ended, because now, Jesus invites us to, quote unquote, remain a starter with him, and to be established on his team, and to secure the opportunity to know him and follow him. So the winding journey that all of us go on, it needs to end with Jesus, right? That's what we want, and then we begin the journey with him. But that crazy journey of trying this or trying that, or, oh, this didn't work out, that didn't work out. I thought this was going to be the path. No, no, no. The path is Jesus. That's what we want. And comparing it to being a starter in the NFL, that's what Heineke was chasing, to be that starter in the NFL. And so, here we are as followers of Jesus, established in Him, secure in Jesus, and a part of God's family, His team. And so when we look at Colossians 2:6-7, this is the Amplified version. It tells us, therefore, as you have received Christ Jesus the Lord, walk in union with him, reflecting his character in the things you do and say, living lives that lead others away from sin, having been deeply rooted in him, and now being continually built up in him and becoming increasingly more established in your faith, just as you were taught, and overflowing in it with gratitude. And so that's really what I want to focus on today, especially this Thanksgiving week. That when we think about where we used to be and what life was like without Jesus transforming us and offering us salvation, are we filled with humility and overflowing with gratitude when we do reflect? Do we get emotional as we're overcome with the appreciation and the thanksgiving for what God has done in our lives and the opportunity he's given us to receive Christ Jesus as Savior and Lord? That should move us. It should draw us to such a place of humility and gratitude. And so it's Thanksgiving week, and so we put an emphasis on Thanksgiving, but this is a regular thing that unfortunately we don't do. I'm guilty that I can take it for granted that I know Jesus, and that he saved me, and that he rescued me, and that he secured me in him, and that I can have that confidence and now live it out, and to continue to become more and more established in the faith, and to live in a way where I'm pointing people to him. And so we want to overflow with gratitude. And what I just love that phrasing. And then in the ESV version of Colossians 2:6-7, it says, therefore, as you have received Christ Jesus the Lord, so walk in him, rooted and built up in him, and established in the faith, just as you were taught, abounding in thanksgiving. Abounding in thanksgiving. And so That's the encouragement, the goal for us today, and this week especially, um, to abound in the appreciation of the journey that we once were on, and then the journey that we're still on, but the one without Jesus, and now to think about, man, I'm with Jesus. I know him. He saved me. He rescued me, and that fills us. It should, as we reflect on that. Wow, what life could have been without him. If he didn't step in and change my heart and change my mind, um, what life would look like. So I hope that is encouraging to you today, Luke, as you think about this in your own life, and think about, the overflowing of gratitude. Um, what comes to mind for you?
Yeah, this is a really good reminder. I think culturally, this is an important reminder for all of us because we live in a very materialistic. We live in a country. We live in a country where there's a lot of money, a lot of wealth. Now, there's a lot of people who are struggling financially, but in America, compared to some other places around the world, it can be more difficult to really feel our need for God, especially for those whose needs seem to be taken care of. If you've got a good job, you got a roof over your head, family, you've got money, the day to day needs you don't think about, it's difficult to really feel your need for God. But no matter what you feel, our need for God is so great. I was reading a book on preaching, and this author was arguing for every sermon should have a fallen condition focus, to where every sermon should, whatever text you're preaching through, it should highlight this is what it shows about the depravity and the neediness of sinful people. Because if you don't show that, you cannot highlight the saving work and the sanctifying work of Jesus, which is what you're talking about. Is we are so needy, but if we don't see our need for Jesus, for his salvific work in our lives, and for the power of the Holy Spirit to empower us to be a disciple of Jesus, if we don't see that need, how can we possibly have gratitude? Because there's nothing to be thankful for, because we're doing things in our own strength, we're building our own selves up, we're relying on ourselves. Of course we can't have gratitude for what God's doing if we're relying on our own strength, if we don't see our need for him. So I think God's been showing me that recently is, hey, no matter what you feel like, you need me so much. All your needs that are taken care of is from me. You needed me for salvation. And if you want to follow me, you need to rely on the power of my spirit in order to
Mm.
follow me. So the past few months, that's been something God's really been reminding me of, because it's easy for me to forget that need.
Mm.
I'm prone to relying on my own strength to follow Jesus. It never works, but that's just something I'm prone to do. So God revealing to me and showing me the past few months, hey, you need me way more than you think you do. And it's led me to far greater gratitude for the
Mm.
for the day-to-day things. But in order to have thankfulness, we need to see our need.
Amen. No, that's excellent, and even this week too, I think it's important that we thank God for all the blessings in our lives. But oftentimes that list, consists of material things, and so a lot of things that don't matter. Yeah, we're still, oh, I'm thankful for those things. It's fine. It's good to be thankful. All good gifts come from God, all that kind of thing. But I think my focus today, and think about this concept, is I just want to be thankful for salvation and Jesus and who he is, and what he's done in my life, and beginning there. And because all the other things are great, and I'm thankful for my wife and kids and family and growing up in Charlotte and all these wonderful blessings that I have. My sweet man cave, all of that. I'm thankful for it. But I don't want that to be the main focus. I want to begin with, man, am I really taking the time to soak in and appreciate, to even be drawn to the emotions
Hmm.
of to your point, the need, the thought of what life would be like, the emptiness of what my life would be like if I didn't know Jesus, the
Yeah.
the thought of what eternity would be like uh, without knowing Jesus. And so to allow that to sit in that,
Mm-hmm.
and that's my challenge to myself, and I hope that encourages other people to do the same. Let's start there. Let's start there this week. And let some of the other, the extra stuff that we're thankful for too, that he's blessed us that we don't deserve either,
Yeah.
that are nice things in life.
And yeah, and something that continues to come up at my church, something my pastor really hits on when he preaches, is just the exhortation for us to continue to pray that God would stir our affections for him, that our affections for Jesus would continue to be stirred up, asking God to do that, because that leads to gratitude. Like you're saying, when we're not that we're chasing a feeling, because that's not what this is about, but
Mm-mm.
there is, to experience true affections for Jesus, that goes with gratitude. Because when we're really in the mindset, in the posture of loving Jesus, we can't help but be thankful and to have gratitude. And I like how you've kind of set priorities of thankfulness. Because yeah, we want to be thankful for all these things. Look, I'm thankful for the World Cup. That's great as a sports fan, really fun. But
I'm
I
not.
should be, and I hope I'm more often far more thankful for my eternity being secured in
Yeah.
Christ. But I want to live in that affection more, because I know it intellectually.
Mm.
I always know it intellectually, but for it to go from head to heart and really experience the feelings of gratitude, that's inconsistent. But I want that more often, and the reminder today is a helpful start.
Cool. Cool. Well, that's for me as well. So I hope that it resonates with people and it gives you something to think about. And as you watch Taylor Heineke, and take notice too. Listen to him. Now I don't know where he's at spiritually. I'm just talking from a football standpoint. His appreciation for becoming a starter, having this opportunity. There's humility and gratitude there. And I think if we capture what that looks like in our own lives from the perspective of what Christ has done and who he is and his
Mm-hmm.
character and the all powerful God that we serve, does gratitude and humility pour out of us? Is that
Yeah.
what people hear and see when they
Uh-huh.
interact with us?
And it
And when we talk
requires
about our journey,
and it requires us to reflect, because like Taylor Heineke, he knows where he's come from, and I'm sure the temptation is, okay, what's next? How can I secure a bigger contract? What can I do next? But reflecting on where he's come from allows him to appreciate the moment more. And in our own lives, we must do the same thing. And practically for me, I grew up in a home that preached Christ to me from an early age. And I placed my faith in Christ when I was 8 years old. That's when I became a disciple of Jesus. And no doubt I've struggled with sin and rebelling against God, but I didn't experience the 25 to 30 years of not following Jesus and then coming to Christ, and there's a clear life change as an adult. I never experienced that. I was a kid, and it's easier for me to not see my neediness as much as I need to, and it's easier for me to just keep going, what's next, and not appreciate what God's actually done in my life. Like
what he
even
protected you from, and
exactly, like even like losing my dad when I was 8, I know in my mind, gosh, God showed up huge and his was so faithful and is still so faithful. But even something to that magnitude, it's easy to kind of grow numb to, because we're thinking what's next. But it would be sad for me to never sit and take the time to reflect on moments like those where God's been faithful to me. Versus again, because it's just easy to, maybe it's America, maybe it's just the sin of man, but to just what's next, rather than reflect on the faithfulness of God, which stirs up that gratitude,
that's right.
which then helps you continue following him.
That's right. That's right. Exactly. Yes. And then you continue to walk in him, as the verse said, rooted and built up in him and established in the faith, abounding in thanksgiving. So, there you go. Good stuff. Yeah, we could talk about it all day, and maybe we should, but we'll end it there. And actually, I read something interesting. Uh, Pastors, if they just would end 5 minutes earlier, it could potentially be more impactful. So I'm going to take that advice. Sometimes you just take 5 minutes. You just keep it a little bit shorter, a little bit more concise. It can actually be even more effective.
That's what my preaching professor says. He goes,
"Is that right? Okay, I read it as well."
He says some of the best sermons ever have been 45, 50 minutes, but I'm convinced if they were 10 minutes shorter, they'd be even better.
That's right. And it's not. Yeah, it's not just. Yeah, let's just sit and rest in what we've already said versus adding to it and let God do the work through those topics we brought up. So yeah, I think there's a lot of truth in that. All right, well, we'll give Luke his 5 seconds of Patrick used to do this on
Speaking
his
of
radio
keeping it
show.
short,
5 seconds. He used to give Paulie 5 good seconds of soccer talk. So as everybody knows, I'm a huge Dan Patrick fan. So I'll give you a little bit more than 5 seconds, but here are the big questions. All right, as an average fan, I'm maybe even less than an average fan, a non-soccer fan who's interested in following along with the World Cup, what do I need to be aware of? What are the expectations for USA, and what do I need to know?
All right, here are big storylines. First storyline, England has not won anything since 1966. They won the World Cup that year. They have not won a World Cup since. They have never won the European tournament. That's every 4 years, the Euros. They lost in the final against Italy in the previous one. But they're almost kind of like the Cowboys. A lot of hype every year, a lot of talent, never get it done. It's been a long time. This year, England has a chance to win it. Very good team. Another storyline, Brazil, unbelievably talented. One of the clear favorites to win. They haven't won in 20 years, and they're one of the powerhouses because only 8 countries have ever won the World Cup, even though over 80 have qualified in total. Only 8 have ever won it. Brazil's a favorite. Another storyline, Lionel Messi's last World Cup for Argentina. His last ever World Cup, and Argentina is currently on an international very long unbeaten streak, so they're a favorite. And then for the USA, just get to the knockout round, make a run, get out of the group stage. It's the youngest team in the World Cup.
Are you telling me we're not winning it?
Oh, well, we're not going to win the World Cup.
We're not winning it. All right, let me fire.
But I don't want to live in that. So
then.
My challenge to myself is I don't want to be Mr. Pessimistic Sports Fan. I want to allow myself to enjoy. I'm going to hope. Anything can happen. The U.S. is not a favorite. Youngest team in the World Cup, a lot of inexperience, but we at least qualified. And it's interesting. So I'm very excited. It's going to be a great World Cup.
Aren't we a country? It's about winning and championships. We're settling for mediocrity. Is that what you're telling me?
Well, I feel like proper expectations.
No, I've been hearing about the World Cup since I was in college, and all the soccer guys, come on, man, yeah, this is our year. This is, we're turning the corner. That was how many years ago? How many World Cups ago? And we're still not we haven't pushed it further. Why is this, Luke? Why are we not competing?
So
why are we not competing for it all?
This take of mine has no data whatsoever, but I'm convinced if the NFL, if the NFL did not exist for the next 15 years, the U.S. would win a World Cup. If all of our best athletes grew up playing soccer, we would, again, this has no data with it. It's just one of those hot take, live with it. But all of our best athletes go play football, other sports. Soccer is down the list. But if NFL did not exist, think of how many great athletes would go play soccer.
No, I don't disagree.
That's my take.
No, but we still haven't convinced. Yeah, there's still just not. To me, there's still enough kids out there. I just don't understand why we don't have. We can't prepare to be on that same level. I'm just fascinated by it because smaller countries.
At your high school, were the soccer players the popular cool kids? Did they get the hype? Like, oh, did you see Weddington's soccer game Friday night? Or was it, man, what a football game? How about that basketball game?
Yeah, there was definitely, 3 of my close friends were soccer players. They're still in my fantasy league. But, yeah, the football players were definitely considered cooler, I guess. But I'm not sure. But yeah, were they
It's just
better
not as
athletes?
popular.
Were the
It's just not as
football players
popular.
better
Other
athletes?
countries do it differently. But it's an exciting World Cup. It's usually not played at this time of year. So injuries going into the World Cup have been a big deal. So there's a lot of teams that aren't at full strength because of injury. France is one of those teams. They won last World Cup, but they have a ton of injuries and limited chance for success for them.
Interesting. Yeah, no, I mean, I guess I just wish if I'm going to get really into the World Cup, I got to have a team to root for, and I got to have at least the option or the possibility that they can win the whole thing. So you're telling me that that's not the case? That's concerning to me.
It's unlikely.
That tempers my excitement level. So
But
now
you get to embrace the underdog. You get to embrace the underdog. That's your MO.
Okay with that.
App State, they went into Kyle Field. Well, now the win looks way worse than it was.
Hey, it was a
at
great
the
win
time.
at the time. It's a great win at the time. I don't want to downplay it now.
A&M was struggling to put away UMass, the worst team in college football this past week. Statistically, the worst team in college football. And it was a close game until the fourth quarter.
Yeah, things are unraveling in Texas. That's for sure for your boys. Well, so I hope I don't want to. If you enjoy the World Cup, you enjoy it, man. I'm gonna watch some Hallmark movies, but you enjoy the World Cup.
Hey, I'm Team Hallmark, so we're like-minded in that. I grew up on Hallmark movies. I was with a group of guys at church, and they were saying, "All right, what are some Christmas traditions? What favorite Christmas movies?" And I said, with no shame, if it's Hallmark, that's my favorite. And they're like, "Are you serious?" Like, of course I am. Hallmark movies never fail. They're so good.
That's right. That's right. I just saw a comment. Mike brings up a good point. Yeah, basketball is taking a lot of these great athletes too. Because think about, I mean, LeBron's 6'8", which would be tough, but skilled players in the NBA that would translate. That would translate to soccer, even more so than football. Especially you think about, I don't know, half the players are linemen. They're not playing soccer. Now some receivers, running backs, quarterbacks potentially, maybe there would be.
Well, that's why it's hard because so many sports are competing for, like, to these other countries, like they're starting as boys, and the technical skills required to be good at soccer, like, it takes more than athleticism. But if we didn't have the NFL, we have great athletes who could learn the skills and technical skills required to be good at soccer. Again, it's a very blind take, but it makes sense in my mind.
Yeah, some good chat comments, so I appreciate that. So good stuff, guys. All right, I did want to mention a couple of college football things too. We got a lot to get to because we got to talk Thanksgiving. Wow, we're very full today. Before we
get full on Thursday,
full Thanksgiving day and 3 games on Thursday, which is awesome. But as far as college football goes, so it's interesting watching the games on Saturday. Michigan was on upset alert. Ohio State for a while was on upset alert. TCU. And I'm figuring out, okay, I love a good upset, but I also want to see the next couple of weeks set up well and have some intrigue down the stretch. And I think what I wanted to see more than the upset was Ohio State and Michigan undefeated going into Saturday's game. Essentially, the winner gets a spot in the playoff.
Yeah.
So that to me is pretty sweet. So now it sets up for, noon on Saturday after Thanksgiving. One of the great rivalries in all the sports.
That's right.
Both
Find a couch, fire up Urban Meyer. Good day.
Oh gosh, no, game day. College game day will be there at Ohio State. I think it's at Ohio State. So so that's gonna be really cool. And then the TCU win over Baylor, that was fascinating. The ability to rush on a field goal kick. Normally I'm anti-kicker, but I got to say what they pulled off, and for that kicker to go in and just nail it.
Unbelievable.
Remarkable.
Unbelievable. The Cowboys had 16 seconds last year in the playoffs and couldn't do it. I'm watching this. It's 3rd down, and TCU runs the ball. I'm like, wait, what are they doing?
Yeah.
And the kicker's the last one to run out there. They had 14 seconds. They get it snapped. That's the thing for a kicker. Don't give yourself time to overthink. Go out there and pull the trigger. Cowboys have 16 seconds. Can't do it. So I was on the couch watching. And I just had to start yelling. I'm like, wait, what is happening?
What is happening?
It was unbelievable.
It really was. And then to hear Sonny Dykes after the game talk about how they practice that every week. I was surprised by that.
Special
But
teams coach
maybe
deserves a serious raise.
yeah, that was great. What a
Yeah.
cool play. And then I was also thinking about, you mentioned your Texas A&M school. The reality is the majority of schools at this point in the year are disappointed about the season, right? There are a handful of teams. I think about Tennessee now, losing to
Oh,
South Carolina over the weekend.
and
You think about
quarterback is a torn ACL.
oh, devastating. I mean, number one in the country.
Yeah.
They're feeling good. Oh man, we're gonna have this awesome team. And now, to end the season the way that they are, that's really tough. UNC, a team that I've followed this year. We have a lot of listeners that are diehard UNC fans. They lost a shocker on Saturday, and I actually to Georgia Tech, and I actually got an email from one of my buddies, and he was just saying that hey, I hope we don't overlook Georgia Tech, and because they're all excited about the ACC championship game, Clemson and all that. That's already locked in, which is interesting.
Mm-hmm.
And now UNC drops, and May has been on the kind of the Heisman rising watch on the Heisman watch. So yeah, so that was a big one for them, and so you just kind of go down the list, and you're like, wow, a lot of these teams just kind of struggling toward the end. I mean, at one point, Ole Miss was one of those teams like, they're cute, they're going to make a little run. They've kind of fallen off.
My Jayhawks were 5-0, and now they're
oh gosh
6-6, 5-5.
Yep,
Bowl eligible, so we're fine.
I don't want to hear about
season is a success, but yeah,
and even App State, we were the team of the country. We were the America's team, so to speak. We were the coolest team in the country for the month of September, and then we've crumbled. We won on Saturday, but
it's unfortunate. The way college football is set up is, to your point, is most of the teams have nothing to play for. Like, bowl games have lost their luster because if you don't make the college football playoff, but you're a Power 5 school that was trying to make the playoff, what's the point? Unless you're a fifth-year guy, you're going to be there all 4 years. Yeah, but if you're a guy that's going to the NFL, we're going to get into the conversation soon about big-time players sitting out. So it's just unfortunate because if your team is shooting for the playoff and misses the playoff but still goes to a bowl game, it's just a formality. It's not really anything to really get excited about.
No.
That's why you got to expand the playoff.
I can't wait. I'm excited about it. So that'll be sweet. I think we still have to wait one more year. 2024 seems to be the earliest that'll happen. But yeah, I can't wait for that. All right, so we'll have to go quickly on this. But we did want to have a little Thanksgiving fun.
Oh yeah.
And so, Luke, if you are prepared for this, I'm not sure where you're going with this. I'm just going to react to it. But we're going to talk a little Thanksgiving. We'll try to get the audience in on this as well with your reaction. So Luke, take it away.
So I wanted to get your reaction on a handful of various Thanksgiving trends and traditions. So I've been doing research. What are Americans thinking? How are we navigating all things Thanksgiving? So the first thing is
holidays.
For the first thing, okay, what are people thinking about? I'll start off with a softball. What's the best side dish in Thanksgiving? The overwhelming evidence is mashed potatoes is ranked number 1 as the best Thanksgiving side dish. What is it seems bland, but it's the overwhelming favorite on all these sites that ranked them and polled Americans. So what are your thoughts on that?
So I love mashed potatoes, but to me, you got to go something that's a little more unique and specific to Thanksgiving. Because I don't know about you, but how often are you really enjoying sweet potato casserole throughout the year? I mean, we should, but we don't. I don't think it's a part of the kind of the weekly food routine. Mm-hmm. Whereas you throw mashed potatoes, they're a part of a lot of dishes. They make their way, throughout the year. So it's nothing special on Thanksgiving. They're needed. You got to have them on the table. Don't get me wrong. I love them. My mom's going to make them delicious, plenty of butter and all the goodness. But I got to go sweet potato casserole. That's the go-to. That's a special, unique thing to Thanksgiving, baby.
Yeah, green bean casserole. That does it for me. Green bean casserole gets the job done. All right, this one's controversial. According to National Restaurant Association research, which is funny, 14 million people have their Thanksgiving meal at a restaurant every year. Have you ever considered dining at a restaurant for your Thanksgiving meal, or do you know people that do that? 14 million Americans are doing it every year. It's never going to happen in my family, but I wonder your thoughts on that.
Well, I guess on one side, I want to have compassion because certain people, based on circumstances, whether, work wise or family wise, like that's your best option. So I don't want to necessarily rip on the fact that that's the case, but I would never, I don't think I could do that. If I would almost go counter Thanksgiving. If I was ever, happen to be stuck in a snowstorm alone or whatever, I'd have to go pizza. It'd be like a Thanksgiving pizza day.
No Golden Corral? Not finding a Golden Corral?
No, because then to me, you're like settling for lesser than. It's like, it's not quite a home cooked meal.
Yeah.
I mean, Golden Corral or K&W cafeteria. I can't. That would be
Little
hard.
Bojangles dishing out Thanksgiving food.
No. Now, I don't mind a good fried turkey. So if I could get, my family doesn't do that. So I would be open to that specifically. Fried turkey somewhere would be fun. I will say when I was in college, the Thanksgiving meal that they would do a few days before we all left to go home was always nice. That was a nice little warm up meal. So it wasn't in replacement, but in addition to, then I'm okay somewhere else out, a non-home cooked meal.
Yeah. So it's no secret, Thanksgiving, the TV's on. You got football, you got college sports, a lot of great things to watch. Included in that is the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade and the dog show.
Ooh.
Are those staples in the Johnson household? Because as a kid, I would walk down and my grandparents and my aunt and my mom, I mean, they're down there at 7 a.m. talking, the parade's fired up on the TV. As I've gotten older, it's like, yeah, it's cool. I feel like it's lost its magic a little bit, but I wonder if that's a go-to for you.
I'm not a big parade guy. I don't understand it. No. So what I do like are I like music. So if it's music oriented, like, hey, we got a special concert live in the city, that to me, I'm all in. I don't know how often they do that for the Thanksgiving Day parade, but sometimes around Christmas and stuff, they'll do some parades with that. But the dancing or the big floats, I can't. That's not drawing me in. I'd rather watch 3 hours of NFL pregame coverage and all the cool Thanksgiving features, right? They're a little bit more heartfelt, a little bit more, beyond football, I would say. On Thanksgiving, I'm all in for that. So I'm watching that instead of the parade. I may throw it on just out of habit, because my dad used to always have it on and that kind of thing. But it's not I'm not intrigued by it. No.
Yeah. So I got two more quick things that are staples in American households. So first is the turkey trot. Thousands of people every year wake up early on Thanksgiving to voluntarily run anywhere from 3 to 8 miles. And some people, it's a fun family thing. Other people are thinking, I got to work for my meal later, burn these calories before the meal. Have you ever considered a turkey trot? Are you a seasoned turkey trot runner? Is there a turkey swim for the swimmers in the country? They line up in their Speedos and they do a couple miles for a swim.
Oh my gosh. Have I ever considered it? That's a funny question. No, Luke, I have not considered it. However,
you're not going to raise your daughters on the turkey trot?
No.
As you're huffing and puffing in downtown Charlotte?
When it comes to holidays, like I'm very locked into, I'm at home and then I'm going to go to the location of the day. Well, my parents' house is usually the location for the day. Other than I'm not going, when I think about the 36 years of my life, Thanksgiving or Christmas, I have very rarely been seen anywhere else other than home and, my parents' home. That's it. So I'm not stopping at the store even. I'm not anywhere. So I'm definitely not signing up for a turkey trot. And I don't know what could happen at the turkey trot that could then jeopardize my Thanksgiving meal. I mean, I'm preparing mentally, emotionally, physically for a feast later in the day. No, I'm not out training and preparing for some kind of turkey trot. That's absurd. Sorry, Luke. But I will say, when I was in 5th grade, I can't even remember like what the circumstance was, but we did a turkey trot at our school during school. So it must have been in November. And guess what place I finished?
First.
3rd.
Ah.
Not bad. Not bad. Hey, it's USA. We're just one of place, right? Isn't that?
That's right.
Oh, that's just for soccer. That's just
right.
for soccer.
That's right.
I'll take it. A top 3 finish. So I was pretty good in 5th grade. I peaked.
Now,
My athletic ability peaked in 5th grade, unfortunately.
Then the radio career began.
That's right. In 8th grade. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so lastly, post-Thanksgiving event. Are you the 4 a.m. Black Friday shopper? Are you going to bed a little early, turning Thursday Night Football off a little early? Hey, guys, I'm waking up at 3, and I'm head to Target to buy a new TV. Are you that guy? I have a couple of those in my family. To me, give me the online sales. Give me Cyber Monday. I'm not trying to leave at 4 a.m. Friday to go get 30% off something.
I'll let you guess. Do you think I'm that guy, Luke?
I don't think you're that guy, but I would love for you to pronounce an indictment on those people. Tell them why they're crazy.
Again, I don't want to rip people because I know listeners and family, friends, and all that participate in it. I'm not a big shopper. You know what I actually like to do? I like to go antique shopping. It's a slower pace. I like seeing old stuff. I like finding deals and steal, just fun stuff.
What?
That's my I don't know, guilty
You
pleasure.
decorate your man cave with antiques?
Yeah.
Seriously?
Oh yeah.
Like
Where do you think I got these?
Like an old China.
This is from an antique store, Luke. What I'm holding up.
That's sports memorabilia, though.
That's what I find. There.
Okay, so you're not buying antique silverware and teacups and all that.
No.
Old picture frames.
As far as Black Friday goes, I think from my perspective, it's insane. One, to get up early or stay up late to go shopping, and to be with all those crazy people wanting this one item. No deal is worth it to me. To pull a Jingle All the Way Arnold Schwarzenegger fighting for these toys and items, and I can't do that. I'm nestled after a nice day of sweet potato casserole.
Yeah.
Apple crisp and
hibernation mode. Hibernation mode.
That's it. That's it.
So leave your thoughts for these questions. Or if you have a very odd Thanksgiving tradition, we'd love to know. We're open here. I'm always looking, as Madeline and I in the future think about when we're going to have kids, our own family traditions. We're open. I'm open to ideas. Turkey trot. Yeah. I've done one turkey trot. It was fine. I'm not dying to do another one. I'll leave it there.
No, we do need to. I probably don't have a lot of Thanksgiving traditions for the day. I mean, it's just food, football, family. Yeah, and that's what it's been. So, of course, faith is part of everything. But yeah, so that's interesting. Yeah, Mike makes mention that Black Friday started 2 weeks ago, which is also the case. So we've kind of lost it. We've lost its luster over the years too. Now people just almost do it for a game at this point because the deals are available after Black Friday, because then there's Cyber Monday and all that kind of thing. So if you really need a deal, it's out there. You can find it. So.
The most hot take of the comments is Mike again. Best side dish is more turkey. I'm probably out on turkey in general. Extremely overrated meat. I'd rather fill up on side dishes versus turkey.
Me too.
But to think of, man, I've got room for one more side. Let me pound some turkey.
More turkey.
All power to you, Mike, though. All power to you.
Yeah, I'm a ham. I go ham.
I'm a ham guy. Definitely a ham guy.
We've made the switch with on the Johnson side, so very excited.
Have you made the switch to turducken?
No, that seems fancy. I don't know. I don't know how hard to pull off. They are going to honor John Madden on Thursday, which will be fun. So that's cool. Always love the John Madden memories. So very cool. All right, we're going long today, but do want to say hello to Henry, and we'll do a little tap drill as Henry's recovering from his Giants loss over the weekend. But Henry, what's up, man? How you doing? Happy Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving, boys. Yeah, unfortunately, we decided that we were a little bit too smart for ourselves and decided to put the ball in Daniel Jones's hands, and he threw the ball 44 times. And as a result, you
Wow.
would think, and it happened, he had 2 interceptions. Well, the first one was like the insane long arms of, I think it was Aiden Hutchinson. He just snagged the ball out of the air. So I'm not going to put necessarily that one on him, but I'm looking at Mike Kafka. I'm looking at you, Mike Kafka. I'm looking at you, Brian Dable. You guys had the formula. Run the ball. Let Daniel Jones throw the ball about 15, 20 times. Get him outside, and you guys are basically going to stay in most of your games. Unfortunately, you got too smart for your own britches. You decided to let Daniel Jones throw the ball all over the lot. Unfortunately, he had 341 yards, which is nice, but he threw 2 to the other team, and as a result, you get a blowout at MetLife Stadium. So,
Crazy. I know. Saquon was a letdown. They didn't give him the ball. He didn't have
no,
enough.
they gave him the ball only 16 times, and like you have the formula right there. It's proven, it's worked, and then you decide to get fancy. Yeah,
That's right. Yeah.
That's
well,
what
I heard this before the game. Matthew Berry said it on NBC. He said Detroit's better than their record. The Giants are worse than their record, and I would agree with that. So that's how it played out. Detroit's starting. Things are starting to click for them. So it's pretty cool. All right, Henry, we'll do it. We'll do a couple tap drill questions here.
All right, couple of tap drills. Did you see the altercation with Giannis Antetokounmpo and Montrezl Harrell on the 76ers? If you hadn't seen it, go look at the video. And basically what's happening there is Giannis is practicing some free throws, and the employees of the arena are trying to get their stuff done. So what Giannis does is he proceeds to take the ladder and yank it out of the way so that he could continue his free throws. And then as soon as he shoots a free throw, Montrezl Harrell comes in, takes the ball, and leaves. So, guys, who's right in this? Or does anybody really care?
No, I found this to be fascinating because I was torn as to who was in the wrong because the game is over. Everybody's trying to wrap things up, right? The workers there, I'm sure they're hourly and they're just trying to, finish up and get home and fix the net or whatever. And Giannis is thinking, hey, I'm one of the best players in the world. I just had an off shooting night. We lost. I missed some free throws. I want to immediately get out to the gym and work on my free throws. And he has this thing where he has to hit 10 before he leaves. And so he was stuck at 8. He was stuck at 8 and he had to get to 10. And so I respect the commitment from him to want to practice and get better. And that's why I love Giannis. I love Giannis. He represents so many great qualities and aspects that you want in a superstar. But at the same time, hey man, you got to get out of there. They're closing up shop. The gym's closing. You got to go. So, but then Harrell, get out of here, Harrell. Get him out of the league. I've had enough of Harrell. He was a nightmare with the Hornets and how things ended there. And he got in trouble, and I'm over that. So if I'm going to side with anyone, it's going to be Giannis or the people that are just working hard to wrap things up.
Does Giannis do that every game? He has to make 10?
I think it's his routine anytime he's working out. Yeah.
So
yeah.
I'm not sure he does that every game, after every game.
Yeah. The obvious answer is they're both wrong. These are workers that their boss says, hey, tear down the gym. The game's over. And you have a player saying, no, move your ladder. What are they supposed to do? They're here to do their job. Giannis, go home, dude. You don't, especially if it's this, we got to have this Kobe mentality of, I had an off night. I got to go get shots up for 2 hours. No, you don't. Shoot tomorrow. You'll be fine. And Harrell, don't even get me started on him.
Kobe, I like that commitment. I like the commitment there.
But don't even get me started on Harrell, who is for sure first team all fake tough guy. Like, dude, come on.
Fugazi.
It's like we don't want it. It's amateur at middle school. You're stealing his ball. Giannis isn't the wrong dude. Leave. Yeah. Harrell, we've seen enough fake tough guy. It's ridiculous. It's so annoying. Because then there's another video of Harrell talking trash to Giannis's brother, and I mean making all these threats. Oh yeah, try me, come try me. We're on a basketball court. Come on, it's annoying.
Funny.
Yeah, I'm on the side of the workers, because all we're trying to do is go home, okay? And Giannis, you're not even in Milwaukee. You're in Philly.
Yeah, you're on the road.
That's the
If
key.
you were in Milwaukee, we would be okay with that, because you're Giannis. We're gonna let you do whatever you want to do. But you're not at home. You're in Philly. Get off the court.
Yeah.
We gotta go.
That's fair. But the funny thing too, the ladder fell. Like, that's hilarious. He was like pushed the ladder and then it accidentally. He wasn't trying to make it fall, but it did fall. That adds to it. So there you go. All right, good stuff. What's next?
All right, staying in basketball, not necessarily the NBA. We're going to go to the country of Taiwan. Now, why Taiwan, you say? There we'll find ex-NBA player Dwight Howard, who's putting up ridiculous numbers in Taiwan, one of his favorite countries. If you listen to him talk about it, one of his most recent games, he had 38 points, 25 rebounds, and I think he went like he hit like 5 3-pointers. What do we think about Dwight Howard? First of all, what do we think about Dwight Howard shooting 3-pointers? Number one, I don't know what possessed him to do that. And number two, what do we think about Dwight Howard playing in Taiwan?
Well, good for him to keep playing. I mean, he was okay the last couple years in the NBA as a role player, and guy coming off the bench, and he's still in great shape. And he had a great career for a long time, and then he bounced around so much, and they just kind of had a weird interaction, it seemed like, with a lot of teams and coaches and all that, and sort of kind of soured, fans soured on him a little bit. But it is amazing that these guys can go overseas, keep hope alive, keep playing, the sport that they love. And sometimes even later on, it's 38-year-olds to be able to keep putting up big numbers. Good for them. So that's cool. I'm not going to be watching it or keeping up with it, but
it's hilarious. It's so funny. I don't know what this league is, but if Dwight Howard is putting up 38 and 25, shooting threes, running pick and rolls, either the NBA, this shows how the NBA is impossible to play in, or this is the worst league of all time. Dwight Howard is shooting pull-up 3-pointers. Who was the Lakers big guy that got benched for shooting a three at the top of the key when Mike Brown was the coach there? I'm forgetting, but there's people that should not be shooting threes. Dwight Howard is one of those players, and
but players
it's just hilarious that he leaves the NBA. I mean, he's vocal about how the Warriors should sign him. Oh, I'd be a great addition to the Warriors. I need to mentor James Wiseman. The Warriors should sign me, which is funny in itself. But then I'm going to go to another league. I'm going to put up 38 and 20. These are Wilt Chamberlain numbers for Dwight Howard as soon as he leaves the NBA. It's so funny.
That's good. Yeah, I don't know what the level's like, but he's playing against 6'3" guys. No, I don't know. I have no idea.
He looks like Shaq. Like, they threw him a lob from out of bounds, and it was, I think, the greatest dunk I've ever seen. It's exaggeration, but he looked like it was amazing. But to your point, the NBA is just so good. I watched the Stephon Marbury documentary, and his years in the CBA were amazing. He's a legend. Yeah. After the falling out with the Knicks and everything. I mean, the NBA is impossible. That's the fact of the matter.
Just to let you know exactly how big Stephon Marbury was, there's only two, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, there's only 2 statues of players in China, period. One, I believe, is Yao Ming. The other one is Stephon Marbury.
He's a legend.
I don't know where Jimmer Fredette ended up, but he was playing over there for a while too.
Putting up big numbers.
Yeah.
Like 70 points.
Because he could shoot. He just couldn't hang in the NBA for some reason. So it's interesting. All right, last one.
Now let's go into college football, and we're gonna talk with a guy who's literally lighting it up in college football. We're going to go to Coach Prime and Jackson State. Coach Prime has led Jackson State to their first ever undefeated regular season, and all they have to do to finish that off is to win the Celebration Bowl. Now, there's just breaking news just coming in through Bleacher Report about an hour ago that Coach Deion Sanders is going to start talks with 2 vacant jobs, in particular University of Colorado in the University of South Florida. He will not be talking to Auburn. So guys, do you think Coach Prime is ready to be in a Power 5 conference?
So this is a very fascinating story, and I'm a Deion Sanders fan. I was a knucklehead when I was growing up, but I would wear the headband and would do the Deion dance when I'm playing in the backyard. Yesterday, Travis Kelce did a little Deion into the end zone, which was cool. So that was fun to see. So I like Deion. I love the fact that he's been able to build a program like Jackson State. He's proven that he can be a coach. He didn't just do it for the attention, or he's been there for the kids. He's been there to pour into this university and this program. But I think along the way, he's revealed the type of coach that he could be. And it would be interesting to see him, at an even maybe more competitive level or a bigger opportunity. And, I love when coaches stay. Like, that's always my favorite, when coaches build their own program and stay there and all that kind of thing. But because Deion is such a big name and will get opportunities at bigger schools, I'm intrigued by, how far can he take this? How could he start competing in a bigger way? Think about it over the next 5-10 years type of thing. I'm all for it. I like South Florida. I would say South Florida. Stay in that area.
I was under the impression that he was committed to HBCUs. I thought he was going to be around at Jackson State for a long time. Maybe I don't know if he stated that, but his commitment to Jackson State and his public support for HBCUs, I didn't think he was going to leave for a big school. That seems antithetical to what he's been doing at Jackson State. So it'll be interesting.
Yeah, that's tough. I mean, what was he wanting?
He's not required to
Maybe
stay, just based on what he's saying.
What he wanted.
Yeah, based on what he's been saying, I thought he would have stayed, or he would stay. He still may, but it's interesting. I mean, yeah, it would be cool to see him at Florida State. That would be fascinating.
Well, that's not happening. I think they've had a better season than they thought. So
yeah,
Norvell.
Mike Norvell is currently the head coach at Florida State. There was rumors that said that if Coach Prime was interested, that he would listen to Florida State, because of course that's where he played. But to Luke's point, Deion said that he would at least listen to the offer if he was offered. But right now, he still says that he still has a lot to accomplish with Jackson State, as well as with the HBCUs. And as the saying goes, rising tide lifts all ships. So he's trying to get more exposure to the HBCUs. Without him, I believe just last year, they had an HBCU combine just so NFL scouts can go to those schools and watch those players in those schools.
Now, not only is he representing black coaches, and so he could do that, at a HBCU, or
no question,
step into the larger,
definitely
realm and represent in that way as well.
Yeah.
He's also representing former players. He's representing former media members, right? So he's kind of breaking through in a lot of different ways, and he's an actor on Affleck. So,
that's right.
But I think people care. He's a celebrity. I mean, this is a big deal, and so his decision, yes, it moves the needle in a big way. So if he stays, that plays, contributes a lot to the growth, like you said. But then also new opportunities present themselves if he takes one of these larger profile jobs.
Can you imagine how he's able to stay present coaching with everything else that he's involved in? Like to maintain celebrity status. I mean, that's going to happen regardless if he's pursuing that or not, but just to think of the toll that's been weighing on him undoubtedly for decades, that must be difficult. I don't know how they do it. With the commercials.
He loves the attention. He loves it. He embraces that. He loves all that.
Still though, it's a lot. It's impressive. His motor's still going.
Yeah. I don't know how old. He's in his 50s probably. Yeah.
There's one funny story, and we'll end it with this. There's one funny video where Prime's got all his kids walking. I believe he's walking through an airport, and he's noticing all the kids they're paying attention to their phones and not paying attention to where they're going. So he stands in the middle of the airport. He says, all of y'all need to turn your phones off and pay attention. Now, he was that statement was so powerful, even the person who was recording him turned off his phone.
Video ended as soon as he said that.
That's good.
As soon as he said that, video done.
It's hilarious.
Oh, that's funny. That's good stuff. All right. Well, cool. Well, Henry, man, appreciate you. Have a wonderful Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving, boys.
We'll recap it all on Monday. And speaking of media members going straight into coaching, we didn't even talk about Jeff Saturday today. Another strong performance from him and the Colts. They were ready to play. They marched right down the field. Jonathan Taylor scores a touchdown against the Eagles, and they were in that game, but they let it slip away. That was a tough one. That was actually an exciting game. I was into that one. But the Eagles, they were a little bit better. Just had enough to get over the hump. That was just one of those games. Matt Ryan, he just doesn't have it. It's frustrating. It really is. If you're counting on him to go win you a game, it's difficult. It really is. So that was disappointing. I was hoping for another crazy win for the Colts with Saturday, but he's at least proven it's not a joke. They're here to play. They're here to win. So that was exciting. But yeah, we didn't get into that game too much. We talked heavy Colts the last 2 weeks. So we'll see how things. Eagles are a tough opponent, especially coming off a loss. So they needed that win. Now they're back in the mix. I'll be curious now. The Vikings on Thursday. How do they respond to their tough loss to the Cowboys yesterday? So that'll be interesting. But enjoy the games Thursday. Enjoy Saturday, college football. Sunday, more games. Oh man, what an awesome time of year! Soak it in. Enjoy the family, and let's all really focus on gratitude and most importantly the gratitude that comes when we reflect on who Jesus is, what He's done in our lives, and the salvation, the eternal life, the goodness, the faithfulness of God. Let that pour out of us, the gratitude, the humility that comes from acknowledging that and embracing all that we are, all that we have in Christ, but who He is and elevating Him above all else. So that's the encouragement today. The Unpack This devotional will go out in just a little bit as well. If you haven't subscribed to that, you can check out unpackingit.com/subscribe. For Luke and Henry, I'm Bryce. I'm a sports fan who follows Jesus. I believe in the good news that He died on the cross for my sin. He was resurrected, and through faith, I've been saved by His grace. I hope that is true for you as well, and I hope you'll join me as we live life as sports fans who follow Jesus together. Have a great rest of your day. Happy Thanksgiving. We'll talk to you next time right here on the Unpacking It podcast presented by Medi-Share.